My name is Jason JROCK Houston. You guys are listening to an interview being done tonight for Under Your Influence. It's my great pleasure to be speaking with lead singer, bass player Mike G from a great Los Angeles-based Primus Tribute Band called Mr. Krinkle. How are you doing tonight, Mike?
Doing excellent.
Now, how long has Mr. Krinkle been together? Because I kind of just came across you guys the other day when I seen an ad for a gig the band has coming up on the Facebook tribute page.
Yeah, well, basically, Mr. Krinkle, it's kind of like a side project for me. We used to be a little active a few years ago, and then the drummer and the guitar player at the time, they were not able to do it as much, and like I got really busy doing a bunch of things, so we kind of let the project, fizzle out. And then I would say like maybe less than a year ago, I came across a drummer who was like totally down to do it because we were jamming Primus just for fun.
Yeah.
And then we're like, you know what? Let's bring back Mr. Krinkle and get some gigs because it's a good project to do, especially to escape the monotony of gigging with other bands and stuff. It's like a fun project, and anyone who's a Primus fan, I mean, we're already kind of like weird people anyway, so it's just for an escape. It's a great project to be involved in. Yeah,
and that's really what got my attention right away. Is the fact that the tribute scene has blown up huge, especially out here in LA where we're from, and
totally.
And a lot of times these tribute bands have to have a nice little niche, and I think you guys got one going just in the fact that you're a Primus tribute band. I mean, it's not like you're not like the 15th Van Halen or AC/DC tribute out here, if you know what I mean. So you guys.
Oh, no, totally. I know exactly what you mean, man. I actually used to play with the Zeppelin tribute band. So I know how, there's definitely been a lot of increases in those kind of, tributes and stuff. Which is cool, but, kind of gets boring after a while seeing the same ones, And, you can only do the same thing so many times, before it's, saturates the market.
That's
what's cool about a Primus tribute band is, I know there's one in Southern California, but they're not active. I'm friends with them, and I think there's one in Vegas that I know of, and that's pretty much it, as far as I know around in this area on the West Coast.
And again, that's what you guys got working for you right now, the simple fact that there's really not an active Primus tribute out here. I mean, people, I would think, would come to shows for that reason alone, just for a curiosity factor. Oh, Primus tribute, let's go check that out, And so share with us, Mike, how did you first become a Primus fan?
Actually, this is a funny story. When I was a kid, I think I was probably maybe 10 years old, the album Pork Soda just came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember at the time, so Kmart used to be around. We didn't really have Walmart, we had Kmart out here. And what happened was I was at the Kmart, it was late at night, I was with my brother and my mom, and we were walking around being crazy, me and my brother. And we walked by, remember they used to have the kiosk with the CDs?
Yeah.
Albums?
Yeah.
And they had, the music videos would play for, a minute of, featured, a song that was on the album. And I remember specifically seeing the My Name Is Mud video. And my brother, we stopped and, we watched it for, a minute. And we're like, whoa, this video is weird, but it's, really cool,
Wow.
And my brother was like, you know what, that guy kind of looks like you. And I think at the time he said it to be mean, to mess with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's fucking cool. That guy is badass. I'm cool with that. So, from that day forward, I was a hardcore, diehard Primus fan.
And so,
I got grew up in a musician family, so I knew of them. I just didn't realize, how much I would like them. That was that moment when I made the connection. It was cool, it's a weird-ass cool band that was doing weird shit, and I was all about it.
That is a cool story, because again, talking to you in 2015 here, a lot of kids out there don't even know, what's a record, what's a CD, what's a music video.
Right, yeah.
I mean, I miss those days, as they say. It was just a great way to market music. But Primus is one of those bands that people either love them or you hate them.
Yeah, exactly. I always tell people, I have this little joke, because some of the bands that I gig with, that's kind of part of the deal. If I play in them, we got to do at least one Primus song. And so, I'll usually say, hey, we're about to do a Primus song, and I don't know if you're a fan or not, but Primus is like beer, it's an acquired taste. And then people usually laugh, but it's kind of true, it's definitely very, very different, But there's a lot of Primus fans out there, everywhere we go, there's always a group that they'd be like, they'll hear us like start playing a Primus riff and they'll like freak out. They're like, "Oh my god, I never heard anyone play that," and it's so cool, you know. Like, and I'm talking like I've been in like clubs where it was like all like, you know, like Mexican gangbangers, nice, like they're there to dance and like have a good time, and all of a sudden start playing Primus, and they're like, "Whoa, like, Primus is badass," you know, like. It always tripped me out to see the people, coming out from Primus, you know, not Primus fans.
And what's cool to see a band like Primus have the success that they've had is Les Claypool is not the typical frontman. You know, he's not the typical drop dead gorgeous like John Bon Jovi frontman. You know, if you know what I mean. And so you gotta love it for that fact alone. That you know, the guy just got great riffs and great songs. How big of a impact or influence was Les Claypool on you as far as your bass playing or even your singing?
Yeah, you know, it's actually kind of funny you say that. For most of my life, I always say this, I'm a drummer first and foremost. Like, most of my life, I play drums. Like I said, my whole family, we're all musicians. Everybody plays something. And so when I grew up, like, I wanted to play drums. So I was in band, and I got, like, formal lessons, and then I did jazz group, like drum set, jazz, and like I did drum and bugle corps. Like, everything was, like, very, very proper as far as, like, my percussion and drum education goes, you know? And then, you know, like, I've always been a Primus fan, and I was always a Les Claypool fan. Like, I love the way he played, because the way he plays bass, he's very percussive, like the drummer. His slap technique is totally different than, like, you know, what you would call normal, quote-unquote, normal, like, slap bass. Like, he does, like, this very percussive style, you know? So, like, I would say maybe it was about, like, 8 years ago, like, I started taking bass a little more seriously. And I was getting really burned out of gigging as a drummer. And so I just started playing bass, and then like I just started picking up like the Primus like stuff like right away, because in my mind I broke it down as like drum rudiments, you know. And so like I started playing like all this crazy stuff like Tommy the Cat, and everyone's like, "What the fuck? Like I've been playing bass my whole life, and I can't even play that song." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm just doing like paradiddles on the bass stuff on the bass guitar, you know."
And I guess you kind of answered this, but I was going to ask you, do you think the fact that you were a drummer first, you know, part of the rhythm section already, so to speak, in the band, it made it that much easier to move over to the bass than if you had never played the drums?
Yeah, and I'm actually really glad like I started playing bass, because it ended up making me a better drummer as well, because like the drums and bass is a rhythm section of like the contemporary rock band or any basic, you know, band like setup, you know, and it's very important to be a cohesive unit as a drum and bass duo. So in order to truly understand that, it's good to play both. So I'm really glad that I did. I kind of wish I would have took bass more seriously early on. You know, like I played bass, I think I played in a band when I was in high school for like one summer. I played bass. You know, and like, but I didn't take it seriously until like after like, you know, years later when I was growing up. That's when I started getting, which like I said was probably about 8 years ago when I really started fiddling around with bass. Like taking it seriously. You know. Okay. You know, that's pretty much all I play is bass now. Like I save all my drumming for original projects. Like here in my studio, but you know, like I gig mostly as bass player.
Wow. And let me ask you, you know, being a drummer, you know, typically, you know, drummers in the, you know, unless you're Carmine Appice or something like that, typically in the back of the stage, and you got typically two types of drummers. A guy that, you know, like Carmine Appice, John Bonham, even, who are real physical players, and you know, you can't help but notice them. And then there's a guy that just kind of keeps the beat and, you know, sits back there. What type of drummer would you say you are?
Well, like I said, I started off very formal and very jazz inspired. My band director, his name was Terry McPherson. He taught at Elster High School. He was friends with this guy named Don Mensa, who was Buddy Rich's like main musical writer. And so when I started playing jazz, he was like, "You need to listen to Buddy Rich like every day of your life, forever." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "This is crazy." So I'm sure you know who Buddy Rich is. He's like the greatest drummer. All the great loud drummers, like Bonhams and stuff, they're all inspired by Buddy. So like Buddy was like my main influence. So I'm kind of like, that's where my drumming heart lies. But I was also, because I was formally educated, my band director really put a lot of emphasis on holding back and not trying to show off. Don't steal the show. I mean, he taught like there's a healthy balance between when it's your time to shine and when it's time to cruise the pocket, you know, and just play in the pocket. Yeah, I find it interesting talking to guys like you that start out as drummers. I mean, you know, there's famous people like Steven Tyler, Janie Lane from Warrant. These are guys that started out as drummers, and then they moved up to becoming the frontman. So I was kind of curious, in your case,
what was that like, being the drummer in the backstage to, you know, all these years later, you know, becoming the front man, where you have a lead singer, you have a bass player, you're in the front of a...
Yeah, no, it's weird. I mean, I kind of, like, you know, going back to my family history, like I said, everybody plays, like, there's already, like, the entertainer, like, gene inside us.
Yeah.
And so, like, as far as, like, being the front man, like, I never, like, set out to be that.
No.
When it's my turn to do it, I can do it, but I can also sit back and shut the hell up and play my gig and be quiet, you know? So, you know, like, as far as, like, that, I mean, it was just, like, it just kicks in, you know? And I was, like, always, like a goofy guy, you know, I'm kind of weird and eccentric and eclectic, so, you know, like, fronting something like Mr. Krinkle, Primus Tribute Band, it's just, I don't know, it's just, like, I grew up, like, being already like that, so it just comes naturally.
Yeah, you know, and the interesting thing to me about it is, like you take a guy like Claypool, again, he's not the typical frontman, but you know, Primus to me would be a very different band, even if he was the main songwriter and he had somebody else come in and, you know, and sing the songs. I mean, and the fact that he wrote those songs, you know, he's kind of able to sing them the way he does because, you know, he's a creator, so to speak. And I think if he had somebody else interpreting it, it'd be a very different type of band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, totally. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, he fits that band so well. I actually met him, and I got to hang out with him and spend some time with him a few months ago.
Wow.
And, I mean, he is exactly what you would expect. Like, you know, like, he is not, his personality that you see, like, in interviews and in his music, that's who he really is. You know, he's a very artistic person. You know, actually, I always tell people at first he was kind of standoffish, but I know a lot of musicians who are like that. They're just like, they come off that way, but that's just because they're kind of built different, you know? And it just made sense to me. But, like, after a while, once we got to, like, talking, and we were, like, drinking his wine and stuff, then, you know, he kind of warmed up, and then we were, like, cool. You know, we were, like, you know, tipping glasses and talking, and he was a little more, obviously, he got a little more friendly, and we were talking more. But it's just, like, at first, I was like, wow, like, he's really like that. Like, that's who he really is.
Well, and so, if you don't mind me asking, how did that opportunity to, you know, even meet the guy come up? Was it, did you meet him after a Primus show, or?
No, actually, okay, so let me break it down. I am pretty sure that I am the only person in a Primus tribute band that plays a Carl Thompson bass. I have a Carl Thompson bass. Like, Carl Thompson and I talked, and he made me a bass. I don't know if you're aware, like, how that works, but, like, Les Claypool plays Carl Thompson basses, and so does Stanley Clark. Carl Thompson is, like, one of the most enigmatic, like, you know, if you just look him up, you, like, Google Carl Thompson, you'll see he's, like, this enigmatic, like, guitar builder.
Wow.
And he makes, like, these weird basses, you know?
Okay.
And he doesn't just make them for anybody. Like, he does, like, there's, like, this whole, like, vetting process that he goes through. I always tell people it was like on that movie Kill Bill, which he had to go get a Hattori Hanzo sword. Yeah. Like, it was like that. Like, me trying to get a hold of him and, like, talk to him. And even once I talked to him, he, like, wasn't really sure he wanted to make me this bass. But then, like, we talked some more, and then he found out, like, I was an Iraq War veteran, because he was an Army veteran, too. And he ended up, like, saying, yeah, you know, I'll make you the bass. And that's, like, even that process, it still takes, like, 3 to 4 years to get the bass, from the day you order it to the day it's done. You know, because he hand makes them all, you know? Like, it's a crazy process.
And,
so,
cool.
I had mentioned to Carl that, you know, obviously he's a Les Claypool fan, and like, you know, my dream would be to meet him and, you know, have him sign the bass, because I heard that Les Claypool was a huge Geddy Lee fan, and that Geddy Lee signed his bass. I figured that's what I should do, have, like, Les Claypool sign my bass. So, you know, long story short, I ended up going up to his winery for, like, a small event. They invited me out, like, the same week I got my bass. And their winery is up in the Bay Area by Frisco. And I ended up going out there, and, you know, I got to meet him, hang out for a little bit. You know, he signed the bass. He actually jammed it, too. There's pictures on the Facebook of him playing with it. If you want to check it out.
Wow.
And it was cool, you know, like, I mean, it was like all in that one, the same week I got the bass. Like, I went up there and it happened, you know?
Wow.
Picture.
Yeah, how cool is that?
It was really cool. And then also, like, you know, we kind of ended up, you know, like, talking, and he invited me to come up again, you know, like, the next time. He just said I have to bring him a hat, because he likes my hat.
Wow.
He said, you know, bring me a hat. He told me the size.
How cool is that?
Like, fuck yeah, bring my Claypool a hat, sure, you know?
And so I don't suppose you happen to mention him, your little the fact that you're in a little Primus tribute band, and what did he?
Actually, I had to do it.
Yeah.
You know, I read, like, a lot of interviews about Les Claypool, about, like, he's not really he gets like real turned off by like the freaking out fan stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of fans think because he's like this weird guy that you can go up to him and act crazy and weird.
Wow.
He's like real turned off. Like he doesn't like that kind of stuff. You can tell. Like he gets real like he doesn't like it. So when I went up there, I tried not to get like that. Like even though he's like one of my favorite artists and he's inspiring, like I don't obsess over him. Like I don't think he's a god. Like I'm not that kind of musician. I don't think people are gods.
Yeah.
But like I also there's like a kid in me that's still a fan. And I didn't want to like act like an idiot. So I made it a point to like be like real cool. Like it was no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, we talked about fishing and all kinds of stuff. And then like at the end of the night, after we'd already been drinking and I'd been drinking, I was like, hey, you know, Les, like I don't want to like, you know, like sound like I'm like this weird obsessive dad. And I was like, but I actually have a Primus Tribute Band, and I had like a gig like the next week.
Wow.
You know? And so he was like, oh, he's like tribute bands. He's like, they're cool. They can be done really well, or they can be really horrible. He's like, you know, it is what it is. And then he was like, you know, the Primus is some pretty hard shit to play. And then he kind of like laughed when he said that, you know. And I was like, yeah, you're telling me, man. I was like, that shit. I was like, I don't know how you sing and play some of that stuff because it takes me like hours to figure it out. And he just kind of laughed. And then he was like, you know, Mike, I'll tell you this, like, don't worry if you fuck it up. He's like, because we fuck it up all the time.
Wow.
You know, and like I was like, awesome. Like I totally like have his blessing, kind of like to do it. You know?
Yeah. How cool is that?
It's okay to fuck up. So like sometimes, like you know, when I'm talking to the audience at our shows, like I'll tell that story, and like people like laugh. You know, they think it's. I don't know if they think I'm making it up, but it's true. Like he really told me that. Like that was hilarious. You know.
Wow. How cool is that? So what's the hardest part for you? Is it actually singing the songs or getting the bass parts down?
It's both. I mean, like, if you look at a song like Tommy the Cat, he's like doing this crazy fucking slap pattern.
Yeah.
And he's like talking/singing over it. It's like almost like a modulation. It's like so weird. Like I don't even know how to like think of it music. Like I'm a formally trained musician. Like I can read music and I can write like sheet music. I wouldn't even know how to write that out, like the separate parts, and then put it together. You know, like it's just something that I just do. It just comes naturally because I've known the song like my whole life. You know. So that shit he does is really fucking hard. So let me
ask you, like, when you decided to put Mr. Krinkle together, how did you go about learning these songs? Was it just you learned by ear from listening, or did you go and get sheet music? And what was the method you used?
I mean, I kind of use a combination of everything. I'm, you know, even though like I'm a formally trained musician and all that, like you know. I've kind of always had this perspective that music is about interpretation. Yeah. You know, it's like, it's how you interpret it for yourself. And so when I learn music and I go to play it, I learn how it's supposed to be done, like in the studio, like how they did it, what they did exactly. And then I also study, like, how did they do it live? Like, because sometimes musicians change stuff, you know, because they get bored. When you play the same thing over and over again, you start making changes. And then it kind of just, like, evolves, like, in its own organic way. And so I kind of apply that to how I'm learning it, and as far as like whether it's watching a video of them doing it, or just listening, or like getting a tab or a music sheet. You know, honestly, like I have no shame of like looking up tabs because sometimes it's nice to have like a base where to start. Yeah. You know, but then also just like you know, music is like this language. You know, once you kind of know it, it's just a matter of figuring out what you're doing. You know, and you can kind of using all those techniques together, I can figure out pretty much anything at some point.
And I was curious, like, in trying to learn this stuff, have you ever, like, made, like, a practice tape where you go in and you have recorded a couple of these Primus tunes just kind of to figure out how to, you know, play the tune?
What do you mean, like,
well, like, some bands,
like a tutorial video or something?
Or even just for your own purposes, you know, where you've gone in and, you know, maybe gone in a studio, like some of these bands, they'll go in and, like, if they're a Elton John tribute or a David Bowie tribute, whatever the case may be, they'll record, like, a couple of David Bowie tracks, you know, just for their own purposes, to put it on the website, or just so they can practice, you know, like I said, have a practice tape or something.
I mean, that's pretty cool that there's guys that do that. I honestly, like, I hate fucking studio. Like, I like performing, but, like, I've done studio work, and I know how to work in a studio. It's just so repetitive and boring to me. Like, at least just right now where I am, like, musically and, like, what I like to do. Like, I have a studio in my house, and I practically live in there doing all my, like, other stuff, like, you know, working on video and photo work and just whatever and rehearsing. Like, I'm always in there, so I try to get out of there to go play. But as far as like, I pretty much record every performance. Like, I have really nice video equipment. You know, that's what I do. So like, I use that to record, even if it's just like a basic, really good camera and good audio. And like, I go back and watch it, and like, I'm such a perfectionist that all I do is pick out like where I fucked up and what I need to fix, and I'm always like real angry after like, oh, I can't believe I fucked up there. But like, that's just the perfections to me. You know, I'm kind of
now on that note, I got it.
I'll show people, they're like, oh, that's cool, you should put that on the internet. And I'm like, really? Like, you don't think like people are gonna get all mad because I fucked up? Like, dude, people won't even know. I'm like, all right, you know. Yeah,
that's probably true. But
like everything. Like, if you go check out my YouTube channel, like on YouTube.com/Django Mike. You'll see, like, I have a bunch of videos from all the bands like I played with and in session with, and you know, there's some Primus tunes on there. You know, I don't know if they're under there as Mr. Krinkle, but I know there's Primus tunes on there from some of the bands I picked with. You know. And
on that note, like, looking at these videos after you've done these performances, does that ever help you to improve? Like when it comes time to do the next show, you think, okay, I didn't get that tuned down, but come the next show, I'm going to have that tuned down. Does that ever come in handy?
Yeah, it does. It shows me where like I work like on something. You know, and like if I try to make the time to work on stuff, but you know, like I can be kind of a lazy musician sometimes when it comes to working on my stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I'm usually learning other people's stuff to go do the gig. You know, like, I kind of have this reputation out here as being, like, the go-to guy for last minute, like, substitution. Oh my god, like, our bass player got a car accident, you need to come in 2 days, play this gig, here's 4 hours of music to learn. You know? So, like, I usually spend, like, most of my time doing that kind of stuff, and I try to work on, like, what I need to.
Yeah.
You know? Like especially, like, because, like, I'm actually going to rehearse tonight with Mr. Krinkle, which will be, like, the first time we've rehearsed in, like, months.
Wow.
Like, we never really get a chance to rehearse. But, you know, I don't know, I have this thing about rehearsing, like, if the song is in your head, like, if you've been playing music long enough and you know your instrument long enough, if the song is in your head, your body's going to know what to do.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's, like, that memory of, like, what do they call that? Like the physical memory, muscle memory. Like, it just knows what to do if the song's in your head. And I've actually learned songs and performed songs just off of memory. Like, oh yeah, I think it goes like this, boom, boom, boom. You know, and just kind of do that. So, like, as long as I can get good listening time, like on an iPod when I'm driving around picking up my kids from school, like, that's like the best homework right there too.
And let me ask you, the other guys in the band, are they just as big of Primus fans as you, or did they kind of get into Primus as part of being in this band?
It's actually funny you bring that up. Okay, so I have 2 drummers that I have play with me right now. One of them is my old drummer that played before. Like, he fills in sometimes, so he's going to play with us on Friday. We have a show Friday.
Yeah.
He's going to play with us on Friday. His name's Jesse Tate. He is a huge Primus fan. Like, me and him, we grew up together, playing drums together, like in band and all that, and he is, like, totally a Primus nerd, and so am I. So that makes it, like, a lot easier, because he knows the songs inside and out. He actually can play them on drums and guitar.
Wow.
He knows, like Herb is one of his favorite, like, drummers. Like, he knows those songs very well. The other drummer I use is this cat. His name's Jordan Soto. He's a fucking badass drummer. He's, like, formal. He's a Musicians Institute grad. He's, like, very progressive, but he's young. He's, like, in his early 20s. And he didn't really get into Primus until I, you know, showed him some songs. I was like, hey, you should learn these on drums, and we'll jam them. And he's like, oh, yeah, whatever. But then, like, he got into it. Like, now he likes Primus, you know, so now he is a fan. But Jordan is such a precise, like, formal, educated drummer. Like, he knows it. Like, he writes the charts for the songs. And, like, learns them inside and out. And then he adds, like, this whole, proggy drummer twist to it, which is really cool. It works out really well. Like, I really like some of the stuff he does. You know, so that's, like, really cool to me. You know?
Yeah, and does it ever? Do you have 2 drummers? They ever kind of put you in the position? Hey, man, just pick one drummer, or how do you like pick who's gonna play?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, these guys they're session guys. They're giggers. Like, you know, there's different kinds of musicians out there, and I do a lot of gigging, and there's just like this breed of guys who gig that it's not like a personal thing. It's just like, oh yeah, like, you know, if I can do this gig, I'll do it. If not, you know, that's cool too. I understand. You know, the show's got to go on.
Yeah.
So, like they don't take it personal. Like if I have to hire somebody else, I mean that's just the way it works sometimes, And we all get it. Like Jordan, he went on tour like for like the last 3 months, so I had to have my other guy come in and do it, and he was stoked to do it because he hadn't played with me in a couple years, because I said we stopped playing together, like other stuff came up, and so it's cool. But it's like it's never like a personal thing.
Wow, how cool is that? And then being the fact
right now I just have one guitar player. His name's Will Wixom. He's a young cat too. He plays in like this thrash metal band called Retribution.
Wow.
And he's a friend of mine. And I remember like a little while ago when I was starting Mr. Krinkle back up, I was like, man, I'm gonna need to find a guitar player. And I remember like Primus's guitar player, Reddy LeBron, he comes from like the thrash metal scene. He plays in a band called Possessed.
Yeah.
And I was like thinking to myself, I should just find like a thrash kid to like play guitar. And I remember I was like, oh, this guy Will's perfect.
Yeah.
And I hit him up, and he's like, yeah, dude, I'll do it. And he learned the songs, and so he's pretty much my guy right now. And then, like I said, like a lot of the bands I gig with, like I usually have them learn at least a couple Primus songs, so we can play them live with with our other gigs. Even if it's like we're doing R&B and stuff, I'm like, I don't care if it's a Primus song because it's funny.
Wow. How cool is that? Now let me ask, the fact that you've got a history of being a drummer, like, is it hard for you not to kind of tell the drummer how to do their parts, or do you kind of just let them do their thing?
Oh, no, man. Like, it's not hard for me because, like, I don't have, like, that ego. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I believe, like, music is like a relationship. Like, you do your part, I do mine.
Oh, cool. I love that.
Most of the people I play with, like, we're all cut from, like, the same breed of musician. Like, we don't take it so personal. And I know it's hard for a lot of musicians to understand because a lot of musicians, they do it. They let their ego kind of take over.
Yeah.
Start having those kind of conflicts. Like, if I was that kind of musician, then of course I'd be all up on their asses about stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, that's not my place. Like,
yeah.
I trust them. I have faith in their skill and ability. That's why we're doing this together. And I let them do their part.
And so,
it's all good. Like I don't take it personal. There's no reason. It's music. Let's make music. It's beautiful. I
love that attitude. Now let me ask you. Since you're getting the band back together, what has it been like since you guys have gotten back together? I mean, are you really? What was it like getting back together in the rehearsal room and practicing these tunes? Did you guys kind of, like you say, just we already know how to play these tunes. We don't need much practice. How exciting is it for you to be doing this Mr. Krinkle project again?
I mean, it's fun and exciting. Like I said, it's a break from the everyday gigging stuff that I do. It's like don't get me wrong, like I fucking love playing music. I love performing. It's fucking awesome. But like, you play a lot of the same stuff in different bands, depending on the gig and where you're at. And it gets old. So to do Mr. Krinkle is like a creative break to play like the shit you really like.
Yeah.
And that's fun. So like, it's really fun. And it's like songs you listen to your whole life. Like I said, like that when I was in Kmart and I saw My Name in the Mud video, like playing that song, like I still think of that when I was a kid watching this video and being like completely mesmerized, and like here I am playing the song for like people at a venue, and it's awesome.
And now let me ask you, as far as Mr. Krinkle goes, do you guys, like a lot of these tribute bands, try to get up there and really dress like the band members, or you kind of just go up there and just play the music?
Wait, say that again?
Well, a lot of these tribute bands, one thing I really love about it is kind of like rock and roll theater, where the bands, they really get up there and, like if you're in Van Halen tribute, the singer looks dead on like David Lee Roth. Is that kind of what you guys do, or do you kind of just...
We totally, Like I said, I played in other tribute bands. I play bass sometimes in a white zombie tribute band, and so that's like all theater. Like they have like props and video and sound effects and backing tracks.
Wow.
And then I used to play in this Zeppelin tribute band, and it was like totally like had like a shtick, like we had the whole theatric to it.
Wow.
That band was actually the Zeppelin tribute band was like it was called Lead Mexican, and what it was is like we played Zeppelin, but we did it dressed as cholos.
Wow.
And like the whole shtick was like we were like cholos straight out of like Blood In, Blood Out and American Me, and we stayed in character. Like we would talk in the microphone, and we would like make all these jokes like about the songs, like and like make them like cholo. Like we would call Houses of the Holy like Houses of the Holies. Like it was totally like this sacrilegious like shtick. So I've always been pretty good at like bringing like the theatrics to the show. So with Mr. Krinkle, I obviously have a huge Primus fan. I've seen them live like millions of times. So like I know like some of the stuff that they do like from the theatrics and like some of the things they say, like I bring that as well. I even they have like an intro, that song that they use, like they've been using for the last few years. It's a Danny Elfman song, and so like I play that in the beginning of the show before we play. You know, like I'll wear a pig mask. I have the hat. You know, I'll dress like how Les Claypool used to dress, like, you know, in the 90s, like before, you know, like before like 2000 era. Like I dressed like him in that era, because that's when I became a fan.
Wow.
You know? And then my guitar player, he likes to dress like Larry, because he's a huge Larry fan, a Ron fan. So he'll wear like a beanie and like, you know, like a skater shirt.
Oh, okay, cool.
You know? And then both drummers, they kind of like, they do their own thing. But like I said, my friend Jesse that plays drums, that's playing Friday, he is a total like Tim Alexander fan, so he dresses like him. You know, and you know, it's just kind of like a natural thing. But we have a knack for doing it because we've been fans for so long.
I love that, and you know, this is a pretty well known fact. You know, again, you know, all these years later, but you know, before they actually gave a gig to Jason Newsted, you know, it was rumored that Les Claypool was kind of the guy, you know, the guy that it was between. And could you imagine Metallica with Les Claypool? Could you imagine what that would have sounded like?
I'm so glad he didn't join Metallica. No, well, yeah, I mean, I think what happened with that is, like, I've seen interviews with him, was, like, because he grew up with Kirk Hammett. He went to high school with him.
Yeah.
And he wasn't really, like, he knew, like, they were, like, getting big and all that at the time, but he didn't realize, like, how gigantic they were.
Yeah.
So when Kirk asked him to join, like, do the audition, he went down, like, not really knowing what he was getting into, and he was like, oh, wow, there's, like, a lot of people. And like he was like wanting to like jam, like mess around with some like songs, and like he didn't realize that they were going to be like so serious with like wanting to do just their songs that day at the audition, you know?
Yeah.
Like he even says like in interviews, like he's like, I think I even asked him to jam like some Isley Brothers. Or
Yeah.
You know, and they were like, what? But you know, like I mean, I couldn't imagine him in that band. Like, you know, they're just so different, you know. And then there's like the whole, you know, they cut their hair and got lame. So, you know, I probably shouldn't say that. I don't want to get flogged by the Metallica fans.
No. The interesting thing too is I seen the behind the music Metallica, and even James said, you know, he said, first of all, you know, Metallica and Primus are two like totally different types of bands, but he was saying, you know what, the thing was Les Claypool, he was too good, and I was.
He's just like his own style of playing, you know. Like that's the thing. Like when I noticed, like growing up being a musician, was like I know a lot of like bass players that like they love Les Claypool, but they're not like hardcore. Like they're more like formal. Because like remember I was saying like my drumming's been real formal.
Yeah.
My bass playing has been very informal. Like it's all been self-taught. Like I never took lessons. Like I just kind of did my own way. And you know, like I miss like a lot of certain like I guess you would say like influences or milestones like than most like average bass players. So like I guess you would say like a lot of average guys they miss a lot of Les Claypool's technique because his technique is so exclusive to him.
Yeah.
You know?
And see, the thing to me, if he would have joined Metallica, you know, who knows what direction the band would have gone in, or how what kind of an influence he would have brought into the band. But I think things happen for a reason. And could you imagine if he had joined Metallica and gotten the gig, you know, Primus might have been one of those bands that kind of, you know, got a little bit of attention and kind of just faded away, you know, and they've really made their mark, you know. Again, people either love them or hate them, but when you hear the name Primus, you know, people know who Les Claypool is, and I was reading an article on Primus the other day. I guess Les is also a very smart businessman, in the fact that, you know, while Primus may not be as huge as, say, Metallica is these days, that he's made a lot of money off just on the royalties because of whatever kind of a record deal they got, and so he's still living off of the royalties, even though, you know, he doesn't have, you know, a ton of #1 albums.
Yeah, and you know they still tour like on a regular schedule, and their tours do well enough that you know they're able to keep doing what they're doing, which is great. You know, I'm glad, you know, because I love seeing the live shows. They just did this whole like Willy Wonka thing this last tour, and I saw it. It was freaking awesome. It was cool. It's totally exactly what I would expect. You know. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, and so you guys have your first gig in a long time come up this Friday. How excited are you about that? And are you kind of seeing what kind of response you get at that show, or do you think there'll be future Mr. Krinkle shows?
I'm always excited to play. Like I don't care if I'm playing for like one person or thousands. Like I love playing music. Like it's just fun, you know. But this is actually we've played a few more gigs in the last like 6-7 months. You know, I mean, this one we haven't played. I mean, we played like maybe 2 months ago. You know, we did like a Monday night thing at like this one small bar with a Pantera tribute band. It was fucking awesome.
Let me ask, what was that like? A Pantera tribute and Primus tribute? I can't even imagine. You know, two totally different type of crowd. But how did that work for you?
Oh man, totally awesome crowd. I mean, like that's the thing is like because a lot of people forget that Primus started out in the thrash metal scene.
Wow.
In the Bay Area. So Primus and metal go hand in hand. Like metalheads love Primus. That's just the way it is, you know. Like, and my buddies, they're really good friends of mine. They have this band 101 Proof. It's a Pantera tribute.
Wow.
And like they're total Primus fans. And so like, we're like, dude, we should just like do a show together and see how it goes. And like they have a rabid following too. Like their fans are fucking crazy. Like just this tribute band's fans.
Yeah.
So like we got all our fans together, and it was like the raddest show. It was a Monday night, but I swear to God, it looked like a Friday night. It was just like packed. Like people were drinking and like taking shots and like.
Wow.
It was wild. It was awesome.
I love that.
That went well, and everyone liked it. Like everyone's like, dude, like you should have played like more, like played again. Like you know, like I was like, oh really? Like cause we played first, and then the Pantera band closed it out. You know.
Wow. Yeah. Could you imagine trying to come on after a Pantera tribute band? I mean, I don't know what that would have been like, but that's just amazing.
No way. I mean, like, cause I wanted to go up and headbang the whole time. You know, that's why I wanted to play first. Like, you know, like I was like, we'll play first so I can watch you guys play. Cause I want to fucking headbang and shit. So.
And you know.
Yeah, no, it was cool. And I mean, like that's one thing. You know, like on the business side, you got to know how to like
book the band,
arrange your lineups. Like, I would never want Mr. Krinkle to headline, like play last because like. You know, like a lot of the bands that we play with, like you want them, like they're higher energy. Like you know, on Friday we're playing with our buddies Rage Again, which is a Rage Against the Machine tribute band from San Diego. Like we want to play before them because they're gonna pump up the crowd, and you want to end on a high note so people remember that show. I'm not saying that Primus isn't ending on a high note. It's just kind of weird.
I hear you.
It would work better, you know. If you played right before.
Now booking the shows, I was curious. Does that ever get hard as far as figuring out? Okay, you know, will a Primus tribute work with this band? What goes into that thought process as far as getting gigs?
I mean, the thing is like I'm friends with so many of the tribute guys out here. Like, just we're all like a community of musicians. You know, like this whole community, and so you kind of have a good idea, just like what would go well. And then also, like, I love music. Like, I'm a huge music fan. Like, my iPod is gigantic full of music. You just kind of get a feel from being in music, growing up music, like, what would go with what. And then you also kind of look at their history. You know, like, Primus, you know, they've done that whole, like, late 90s alternative scene. You know, like, they're a natural fit for certain bands.
Yeah, you know, just...
Even like a band, like, because I want to do a show, there's a Muse tribute band out here, or around here. I want to do a show with them because, like, Muse is like a great three-piece band that's heavily influenced by Primus. Even though they don't sound like Primus, like they're huge Primus fans. Like, I think that would be a cool pairing of a show.
Yeah, you know, I could even see
something like that.
I could even see you guys pairing up. Like, there are a couple of Faith No More tributes that are starting to pop up, you know, around here in LA. And I think that would be a pretty good bill just to kind of.
Yeah, I would totally. I love Faith No More, so that would be awesome to get with any of those guys to play. I also I know two different Tool tribute bands. I actually hit both of them up to play this show with us for Friday, but they weren't available at the time. So, but I would love to do a pairing with Tool because Primus and Tool, like, they're not only like go well hand in hand, but they're like friends in real life. So, like, that kind of stuff is stuff I got to think about too.
And so, are you trying to, with bringing the band back, you trying to branch out a little more and kind of trying to get gigs playing all over the area?
I mean, I just like I said, Mr. Krinkle. You know, I always say it's a side project. I don't want to overdo it. You know, because like. I get burned out of stuff, you know, like that's kind of like one of the things that I get bummed out about myself when I play is like I get burned out of doing the same thing, so I try to like keep it fresh, change things up. And I would hate for Mr. Krinkle to be that because Mr. Krinkle is supposed to be the break from that for me.
Okay, you know? Cool.
So if you know Mr. Krinkle plays like once a month, I would be completely happy. I mean, there was a period there where we played like a few times a month, and you know, between that and just like human drama, you know, between significant others and bandmates, like, You know, like I don't want that to be a stress. It's supposed to be fun.
Well, I hear you.
But I do want to play like different places with different bands and meet new people.
Yeah.
I remember like in the first incarnation of Mr. Krinkle a couple years ago, we played this gig at this place called the Brixton in Long Beach. I don't even know if it's there anymore. But this was like people I'd never seen. I never even played with these people. Like it was just like really cool. And every once in a while, I'll run into somebody who remembers me from that show.
Wow.
You know, and that always trips me out because like I'll be playing somewhere in LA and like somebody will be like, "Oh, I saw you like, you know, you're that Primus guy." Some people say, I'm like, "Oh yeah, you know, like that's cool." Like that's what I would like to do more, like stuff like that, where like I can meet new people and play cool shows. You know, I mean, obviously, like I play on a professional level, so I would like to get. You know, I like to play stuff that gets paid. You know, I want to pay my guys because
of course,
that's what we do for my guys. All play for a living, and I make money doing this, so I want to make sure we get paid well, and you know, just keep expanding. I got like more songs I want to do because right now we do like an hour's worth.
Yeah.
Just plenty, you know, for Primus. But I'd like to throw in some more songs and stuff and get a little trickier.
Yeah, and on that note, let me ask you: have you ever seen that? They have this great TV show out here called The World's Greatest Tribute on Access TV. Have you ever seen that? And
I've had a couple of friends on that show. Osmania, they were on there. I think Pyromania was on there too.
Yeah, last season.
People like I know, like, and I think that's pretty cool that they're doing that. You know.
And would you ever want to try to get Mr. Krinkle on there, or would you think that would be kind of taking it to the extreme?
I think the real question is, would they want Mr. Krinkle?
Exactly, but
you know, like we said, Primus is a very weird niche market. I don't know if that's what they. I mean, I wouldn't say no. That'd be fucking awesome. You know, that'd be fun as hell.
Yeah.
I just don't know that that's what they want, and like I would totally see myself doing it and having a blast. I'm just not sure. I mean, if that's something they would want, but I would totally do it.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Now let me ask you. I see you're such a Primus fan. I think it's cool that kind of like you're the guy that was in the audience, and you're now up on stage playing these songs. So I was curious, as far as coming up with a set list, is it hard? Because I mean, again, like paying tribute to Primus, unless you're a diehard Primus fan, there's probably a couple people that could name like at least 10 Primus songs. I can't even name one off the top of my head, but I know who they are. I've heard of a band. So when you come up with the set list, is it hard too? Because again, you got your diehard Primus fans, so they know the tunes like you, but and then
the diehards, man, they scare me. Like I get like anxiety when I think there's diehard Primus fans in the audience. Because a lot of them can be like pretty critical on the internet, you know, that kind of stuff. Like I don't want to see that. So I try to take those guys into account, and I try to take like the average fans into account, and I try to take just casual listeners into account, like, and make a cool set list. And I also follow what they've done live as well.
Yeah.
You know, like one of my favorite live performances of them is the Hallucinogenics DVD.
Yeah.
So I try to like follow that format, how they did that.
Wow.
You know, but then I also have to add songs according to my ability and what we know at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I try to follow like their closing format as well.
And see,
where they do like an encore or like a fake ending. You know.
Cool.
I take a lot of that into account, and then, but we kind of just like evolve like our own set list at the same time too.
Yeah, and the cool thing about being a tribute band, I think, is twofold. Number one, like you said, even some of the guys in the band you kind of turned on to Primus, and they're now diehard fans, and they weren't really into the music before.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, you have people that, like you said, are diehard fans, and they know every Primus song, and maybe seeing a band like Mr. Krinkle, they might think that you guys are performing the music that good that you might take them back to the very first time they heard a Primus song, very first time they seen Primus in concert, very first time they heard a song on the radio. That's the cool thing about what you guys do.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. This happens a lot too. Like I said, I play a lot. Like I play professionally. I gig a lot of different clubs and venues and bars. And one of the most common things that happens to me is I'll have one of the bouncers or a bar manager or a bartender come up to me, and they'll be like, "Look, I fucking hate live music." They'll be like, "I hate when there's like bands. I just cringe." Like I've heard this speech multiple times.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, "But when you guys played Primus, like you brought me back to this memory fucking awesome. And I'm like, he's like, they're always like, please play here again.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's happened more than once with not just Mr. Krinkle, but with, like I said, some of the other bands where we'll do a Primus song. Yeah, like that's how I know like to keep doing it, because I know that there's those people out there, and like that's like the best. You know, when someone who's like around my music all the time and they hate it, they'll tell you that they love what you just did. That's cool.
I mean, let me ask you, being that you're such a diehard Primus fan, obviously yourself, that you're doing this, how much of a responsibility do you feel in well, if I can't get up on stage and, do satisfaction of these songs, I just don't want to do it. I mean, how big of a responsibility do you feel to deliver to your audience?
I mean, like, obviously, like, it's just a very bold thing. To be in a tribute band, for one, is just like, there is a sense of responsibility. Like, you have to know what you're doing. You don't want to go up there and butcher it and embarrass yourself.
Yeah.
Disrespect the music, Because, like, music is a very personal thing, and when you're playing a tribute band and people are coming to see you, they're coming to see you because, like, there's a personal connection to that band, and the responsibility on my end is, like, Primus fans are, like, unique and different already, as it is.
Yeah.
And so I got to do it justice, otherwise, like, I'm going to hear about it. Like, they'll be the first ones to go to the internet and talk some shit or something, and, like, no, I do take that into account for sure. Like, just, like, I have a responsibility to do it right, and just the perfectionist in me, like, wants to do it right because, it's Primus, it's cool, it's different, and if you don't do it right, it's just going to be a fucking mess. And
then on the flip side, you must have, I'm sure you've had experiences where you have people come to a show who know nothing about Primus, but then they come to Mr. Krinkle show and they come up and must tell you stuff like, man, I never heard a Primus song in my life, but after seeing you guys perform, I'm going to go check out, I'm going to go get some of their albums. I mean, you must have, and that must be a great feeling.
This happened before. What happens too is, there was a video game, like, I think, like, late 90s, early 2000s, Tony Hawk Pro Skater game.
Yeah.
And they used a Primus song for the soundtrack of the game. So a lot of, like, non-Primus fans will come up and be like, oh, like, I remember that song from that video game. I didn't realize all the other songs were that badass and, like, cool, too.
Wow.
Like, like, I hear that a lot, which is cool. And I also, what I hear a lot, too, is like, oh, I kind of listened to Primus growing up, but I didn't realize, like, they had all those rad songs. Like, those songs are really cool. Or, like, people will be like, I've never heard that song played live. Like, those are, like, common things that we see. And so, like, I try to think of that kind of stuff when I'm making the set list.
Yeah. And again, Mike...
There's some cool songs that no one's ever heard, that would fit for a casual fan,
Yeah, and again, Mike, I think it's just great that you guys are out there doing this, performing, because you're keeping the legacy alive, so to speak. And, on that note, I could talk to you all night, but I'd like to ask you before I let you go. Obviously the main focus tonight is Mr. Krinkle, but I got to ask you, like some of these other projects, you want to name drop any of other bands or let people know about what other projects you're involved in?
I mean, I play, like I said, I'm the ultimate sub. Like, I play with so many people, and I love it. Like, I live in the Temecula Valley. Every single musician in this valley, all the bands, we are all friends. Like, we're all really tight. We all help each other out. And I always will give a big shout out to everybody here because it's such a warm and loving community. Like, we all take care of each other. So much live music out here. It's great that there's guys that can play all the time and make a living doing it. But there's all the tribute bands. There's just so many good bands out there, so many guys. Like, I wouldn't even know where to begin to start saying, hey, thanks,
No, what I was asking about was if you want to drop any of the, if you'd like to let us know about any of the other projects that you're involved with. Like you were mentioning.
Okay, so one of the main bands that I play with right now, they're called Woody and the Harrelsons. It's fronted by this guy named Woody Garcia. It's fucking an awesome band. They're basically your basic, like, hire band to play your bar, venue, party, wedding. This band is freaking awesome. They do everything from, like, classic rock to, like, hip-hop to, like, early 90s to, like, obscure, like, proggy stuff. Like, there's so much. This band has, like, the biggest catalog out of all the bands I play in. And the talent is just insane. Everybody in the band is really good. That's Woody and the Harrelsons. They're fucking awesome. I also have a couple other side projects. One of them is called Black Tar Biography. Basically a tribute to all the 90s songs. If you look at the name Black Tar Biography, that's a street flanked by heroin. a lot of music in the 90s was inspired by heroin.
Wow,
So
wow.
the joke is that
Yeah, yeah.
we play all those songs. You know, I have some really good friends in a band called Midnight Satellites, called
Okay.
Master Split and the Shredders. I sub for them quite a bit. They're one of my favorite bands in this area.
Oh,
They're
cool.
great guys. American Zombie is a white zombie, Rob Zombie tribute band.
I've heard of them.
I do a lot of sub work with them. They're freaking great guys. They have a really good show. Like, as far as like theatrics and, you know, like makeup and costumes, they're like, they do some rad shit for
Wow, cool.
Rob Zombie, white zombie stuff. They're great guys.
And let me ask you, speaking about American Zombie, I'm aware of who they are. You guys had played before the House of Blues at Sunset Strip. It just closed up, didn't you?
Oh yeah, they played the last tribute show there.
Wow, wow.
I didn't play that one. They had John play the other bass player.
How cool is that? Wow, wow, wow. Well,
I think I was booked that night somewhere else too.
Yeah.
Anyways. But yeah, it's really sad to see how the Blues go. But you know, hopefully they'll find a new location and get it going.
well, once again, Mike, it's been great talking to you. I really enjoyed talking to you. And
yeah, thanks for having me. You know, I like this kind of. This is cool. You know, I like to talk. You know, don't get to talk about Mr. Krinkle very often, so it's like really cool. You know.
yeah, let me just say before I let you go, the interview.